Guys, today's sneaker shares a lot of elements with other sneakers, most notably an uncanny resemblance to the Travis Scott Jordan 4 PE. But is all of that just fluff hype, and is this sneaker actually going to be worth it? Let's find out. Here we have the box. This is where things get pretty cool because it's a unique box. I don't know why Jordan Brand doesn't do this for like every non-OG colorway. Just, have some kind of cool box that's inspired by the colorway so it all comes as a complete package. But a lot of the times we don't get this. But this one comes in a brownie stone color with the texture to match. So you can listen to this. Yeah, it's got that cool feel to it. Very similar to what Nigel Sylvester did with the Brick 4 box, or the Olympic 4s that had that cement finish. Now, of course, you got the glossy Jumpman on the front with the flight text, but let's pop them open and let me show you guys today's sneaker. It's the Jordan 4 Cavestone. Now, nothing else included in the box. You just get more of that print, except the inside is not textured, so just regular material, regular cardboard. But here we have them, the Jordan 4 Cavestone. This one's pretty interesting, and I am looking at them on like the monitor, and they look pretty cool on camera. Now, I guess first things first, these actually don't release until September, as you may know. So this is well and truly a full drop, which makes sense for the colorway. Now, the exact release date for these as of right now is September the 6th. Obviously, that can change because it's still a good few months out. But retail price should be $220 now. They kind of bumped that up a little bit, and £190 if you're in the UK. Now, in terms of how hard these are going to be to get, we don't really have any stock numbers. Again, the release is probably just too far away, so there's no rumors or anything like that, and it's a little bit harder to gauge exact demand. But I do know the one thing that is really hyping people up as of right now, from what I've heard, is the resemblance to the Travis Scott Jordan 4. So I do think with that, and based off of just the general good looks of this pair of shoes, the demand is relatively high. Now, regardless of any of that, I do think this pair of Jordans is actually pretty well put together and does have some cool details. We'll get into all of that in just a minute. First, I do think it's worth mentioning your options for Jordan 4s for the rest of this year. So as of right now, we've got exactly 7 Jordan 4s dropping before the end of the year, including this one. According to the latest leaks and rumors, there's an Imam Manur Jordan 4 which is dropping this December, which should look very similar or something close to this. They're calling that one dark mocha, so you can imagine the same kind of brown and black combination. Overall, if you are on the market for a new pair of Jordan 4s, just note that there are plenty of options before the year ends. If you wanted to pick up a new one, you don't have to settle for this one if you don't like it. So the story behind this pair of shoes, the Cavestone, there's not really a story behind it. At least as far as I'm aware, Jordan Brand could definitely come up with something like, hey, Michael Jordan used to love caves back in the day. I don't know. A lot of the times they do come up with some ridiculous tie, but I don't think there's going to be anything that special in terms of like a history behind it or anything like that. It's just strictly a colorway. The only real story behind it is the fact that these are very closely resembling those Travis Scott Jordan 4 PEs. It's a strategy that Jordan Brand and Nike have used so many times in the past, is really utilizing that Travis Scott hype. They release the Travis Scott colorway, which is usually a lot of earth tones, and then they'll drop that same or similar colorway on a bunch of other GR models, and it doesn't even have to be the same sneaker. Similar to what they did with the Mocha Jordan 1s, which, as we know, did incredibly well for them. They've done the reverse Mocha colorway on a bunch of different styles. There's a ton of examples. Now, interestingly, this pair of shoes does come with the Nike Air branding on the back, which is interesting and has a lot of people speculating that this is just another reason why it's resembling those Travis Scotts. Usually the Nike Air branding on the back is reserved for like OG colorways and retros, and not just some new colorway that they've imagined. Either way, as far as quality and materials go on here, it's actually pretty nice and not something that we typically see on a regular pair of 4s. So these are covered in nubuck. That is basically for all of the panels on the top, even the tongue, and that nubuck is actually really soft and feels very nice. Now, I will say it does feel a lot like the original Imam Manur 4s. If you ever felt those, it had that very, soft texture to it. So in hand, it feels really nice. It looks really nice and smooth as well, and also super cohesive. But the drawback to this material, which I'm just assuming is very, very similar because it feels the same, time is the fact that like it gets scuffed pretty easily. I had the A Ma Maniére 4s and I had like a little bit of water on the side. It ended up making a stain. I tried to remove it. I made it worse. It was a bit of a strange situation. So overall, what I'm saying is this might be one of those 4s that's harder to keep in pristine condition, but it looks good. So there's that. I will say it also looks to be very, very similar, if not the same material that they put on those Travis Scott 4s. So maybe that was the idea going with this material. It's got that same dark brown stony color to it, which I think contrasts really nice with all of the black accents. That black you find on all of the plastic eye stays, obviously the rubber mesh netting. You got it on the sock liner, the Nike Air branding, and even down on the midsole. The tongue tag is a little bit different. That is almost like an olivey type brown, so a little bit of a separation between like the main color that you find on the shoe. You also get a very similar patch on the reverse of the tongue, which has that same hue. While we're talking about this sock liner area, one thing that immediately stood out to me was the amount of padding that they put in here. Now, it is a little bit of a strange thing. Like ever since Jordan Brand did the SB4s, they made a lot of other random shoes similar in terms of shape and also the amount of padding. Like they kind of beefed it up, and you could definitely tell on these. If I show them side by side with the SB4s, you can see that like that copious amount of padding, which is just something that we haven't had on a lot of the previous Jordan 4s that came before these. The tongue also feels like it has slightly more padding. I don't think it's going to make a huge deal. These are not going to be, you know, like a huge leap in comfort, but it does have that little extra padding feature. Now, as you can see, included on the pair of shoes, you get brown laces. However, I do feel like some black laces thrown on here could look pretty cool. So maybe if you do have a spare pair of 4 black laces, then might want to try that out. Now, another cool detail on here is the outsole, or like the material that kind of wraps up onto the top of the shoe. As you can see, it comes in like a semi-translucent color, so you can almost see right through it. So that's a little bit more unique, and also something that kind of resembles those Travis 4s. It's hard to tell from the images whether it's actually semi-translucent or just a very light brown color like this. But either way, it's a little bit more unique and something that I actually think looks cool. But overall, that's pretty much it when it comes to this pair of shoes. It's nice, it's cohesive, it's just an overall solid color, but nothing that really stands out amongst the sea of different Jordan 4 colorways that we've had. You know, we've kind of seen similar things like the people who are making comparisons with the Paris 4s, like we've seen that stony aesthetic before. So I really do think the strongest elements kind of pushing this pair of shoes is just the cool colorway and the Travis Scott ties. For sizing on these things, I went true to size, just like I do with most Jordans. They fit perfect. It's a great fit. That's what I'm going to recommend to you, is just sticking true to size. For styling these, like I said, it's a great colorway, so it's going to be very wearable and a very easy pair to kind of throw on and just walk out the door with. I definitely do think it's an apt colorway for the fall time. A lot of the full outfits or darker colors are going to go phenomenally with this. If you're someone who does wear a lot of black outfits, I think you're going to get a ton of wear out of these. Earth tones look great, you know, your sand, taupe, you know, olive tones. There's a lot of options. I'll cycle through a bunch of different pants. I'll try them on some different colors, so potentially that could give you a little bit of an idea of what these look like with different colors and styles of pants. But there you have it. Like overall, solid pair, nothing insane, nothing crazy, nothing super different, but just a cool looking pair of Jordan 4s. Let me know your thoughts on these down in the comment section. Would you wear these, or are you going to be saving money for some of those crazier drops that are later down the line this year? And of course, like always, if you want to check out another video, I am going to throw one up in that corner over there. Check it out.